Hello everybody, welcome to another Stellaris video. Today I'm going to be showcasing a similar build to one I've shown earlier, but this is a really good build for rushing Bio Ascension with the Bio ship set, and I've been finding it very strong. So what we're doing is we're starting with Civil Education and Anglers. Parliamentary has been nerfed. It's still strong, but not nearly as good as before the nerf. In addition, we're using, of course, a species portrait with a seasonal dormancy, aquatic, and thrifty. Thrifty is for early game trade via civilians, and aquatic is good just because we want to use anglers, which synergize extremely well with the bio ship set. You can select one of the biological ship sets, and this will make your ships cost far more food than alloys, which is a very good change, which means we can basically produce most of the alloys we actually need from something like arc furnaces, and then only produce food on our planets in order to really maximize the number of ships we can get and focus more of our economy on like tech, for example. And of course, we're playing with Clone Army Origin as it unlocks Bio Ascension extremely early into the game, just after you finish your dig site on your capital. We're playing with kind of default multiplayer settings, 0.75 tech and Unity, and default growth settings. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the main trick we're going to be using here is after clones ascend or descend and then have to build pops normally, even with biomorphosis, it's not easy to have a very high baseline economy and a baseline pop growth after that, as your pop growth kind of falls off a lot. But by taking the Genesis Arc Civic and combining that with Xeno Compatibility, we can actually bridge this problem very well and immediately get very good pop growth, even if we decide to avoid the cloning traditions in the Bio Ascension tree. Of course, the cloning traditions give you much increased sources of pop growth, but we won't need the pop growth if we go Bio Ascension, which means we can focus on something like what's it called again? The mutation. Yes, mutation is very good, and we will probably be going for that tree. But in case we think we need more pops or something, we can also go cloning. I believe there's definitely a ton of strong options currently. Yeah, with cloning, you can get as high as 40 to 50 pop growth on every single planet with Xeno Compatibility. I guess people have been saying the Xeno Compatibility numbers are bugged, and that totally makes sense, but we might as well take advantage of that while it exists. It's really hard to say right now what is a bug and what is intentional, and well, like most unemployment builds, we start with unemploying most of our pops and rushing an Autocathon monument to get the maximum amount of unity out of them. In addition to as much unity as possible, in the early game, mostly what we need to focus on is simply converting most of our pops to civilians. We eventually even do not want to work educator jobs, as they are not necessary. They do produce a decent chunk of our early game unity, so you can keep them active, but we can also get unity through Utopian and a good chunk of tech via civilian education, right? And then we basically just want to rush out pops as fast as possible. A very broken strategy. In addition, we need to immediately start buying some consumer goods and some minerals. And our trade is going to increase a lot as we finish traditions, right? So we need to open up mercantile. Basically, this is the strongest early game combination these days that is generally applicable. There are a lot of broken combinations right now, of course, but this one feels particularly good, so we will be taking advantage of that. And we can also spend some of our alloys to build a hydroponics farming bay to make sure our food stays in the positives. And in addition, it's really great that we also find some planets near our homeworld, as this build does better the more planets you have after you ascend, as it's a good source of unity with Genesis Arcs. In case you're unaware, what the Genesis Arc Civic does, we don't start with it, but we want to add it as our third Civic when we get the tech for that, which we should get pretty early with the incredible amount of tech that this build does make. And it gives you access to a special kind of colony ship where it adds pre-sapient pops to each planet you put. And then when you combine that with Xeno Compatibility, which benefits pop growth, the more different pop species you have on your planet, or at least having more than one, You can kind of resettle those pops between your planets to get some really funny pop growth numbers. Um, and yeah, I think it's just generally a very, very, very strong thing to do right now. In addition, let's add a second state academy now, as very soon we're going to have a surplus of consumer goods. Right now, it doesn't look like that, but as soon as we manage to get to adaptive economic policies, we will have a great source of consumer goods. So we just have to get there. Um, and it is a bit sketchy going this negative on consumer goods, but you just have to kind of not worry and trust the process. As once your autocathon monument is up, you can see that our Unity situation is much better, and we should be getting this second tree very, very quickly before we run out of consumer goods. Um, and yeah, the other thing you might have noticed is this is relatively similar to a lot of builds these days, is you don't actually need to take your colonies right away. It's better to keep most of your pops on your homeworld as civilians, as that simply produces a higher economic output. As you can see, we're getting close to 200 tech, and a decent basic economy regardless of that. And once again, we swap over to consumer benefits now, and then we can focus entirely on buying minerals, an extra amount of consumer goods. As you can see, we have a ton of spare trade, and even a little bit of food and energy credits, as we still have spare trade left. So let's buy 10 food and like 15 energy credits per month to stay in the positives for those. And yeah, now we can just kind of go ahead and research any text we find. We do want to get planetary unification going for some extra early game unity, and we also want to start to unlock anything towards colonial centralization, as getting the colonial centralization tech earlier will get us a better chance to roll the third civic, um, as that is relatively important for this build too. And with the amount of tech we're going to be getting, it is not very difficult to roll your third civic before you're 15, and if you're lucky, even before that. And yeah, essentially what we want to do now is we want to immediately dip into prosperity and take the standard construction templates so we can get discounted um, buildings on our capital. As you can see, the buildings are very expensive right now. So as we clear this sprawling slum, we should be able to build up enough unity to take standard construction templates, which will give us access to much faster buildings and cheaper too. So that is relatively important, and we do get planetary build speed. That is going to be huge, letting us focus on building up our planets. And as you can see, we're at year 3 and we're at 200, 300 tech. This is probably still more broken than crowdsourcing. And do keep in mind our species are using the seasonal dormancy trait, which gives minus 75% upkeep from unemployed pops, which is kind of the strength. And we get an archaeologist trait on our home leader, which is really, really good. Because now what we can do is we build a science ship in our capital, and whenever the dig site becomes available, we'll immediately swap this leader over to start digging out the dig site on our capital, as that is the bottleneck for us being able to ascend into biological ascension. So yeah, anyways, let's keep going ahead and exploring some of these systems. We're basically just looking for any planets, and then we wanted to go take those systems, as the more planets we have, the better, as we're going to get more different species that we can then feed into our Xeno Compatibility, which will of course give us a main source of pops post Ascension. Yeah, keep in mind that with cloning, you would be able to get much more pops than if we go um, mutation. But I think mutation has the better long-term scaling. But if you want to play basically bio-virtual, go ahead and go cloning. And with Xeno Compatibility, you really will. It is basically bio-virtual, as you will not be able to build jobs as fast as you're actually producing pops, right? Which is just so funny. Like it's so unusual. Anyhow, we're gonna go ahead and finish out the mercantile tree here, and then we're just gonna sit on our tradition trees because we don't really need much more than that. We can go ahead and build the last 2 clone vats on our capital now, and we can just spend some extra minerals here to queue them up as they build very quickly, and then a civilian industries into another state academy, and that is basically the final form of our economy. Do keep in mind we are playing on Sol, and the reason we play on Sol is getting good arc furnace systems, such as the Sol homeworld, is relatively beneficial. Um, as I mentioned before, our main source of minerals and alloys are simply going to be from arc furnaces, as we don't really need that many to dedicate an entire planet to them. Of course, if we get enough planets, we can build dedicated mineral and alloy planets, but mini-maxing your planets is generally a very strong way to play right now, so I would kind of recommend that. And also do remember to deprioritize educators. To manage your pops, the easiest way to do it, I believe, is to simply click on Pearl Divers and Civilians, and those are basically the only two jobs, and just want to give them a little priority so that the game actually employs them first instead of moving them to something else, which is a very, very helpful thing to do. And yeah, we could unlock Bluebeam or this, but we don't really need to focus on bioships yet, as we can knock out that research between year 20 and 30 if we needed to defend ourselves. So um, anyhow, we find one more planet here. It's an Arctic world, and we finally get the homeworld event. So this is where we move our main scientist over and simply start excavating the site. By having the science ship ready there, we can save quite a bit of time compared to if we started building the science ship now, and get that Ascension rush going as fast as we can. And yeah, as you can see, the early game tech of this build is really good, which is why I think it's better than most Ascension rush builds. Simply because actually producing early game tech and then still being able to start your Ascension process like year 12, it's only a couple years later than most Unity Rush based Ascensions, except we're going to be very, very far ahead in tech by the time that happens. As you can see, we've been producing basically 300 tech since year 2, um, and we're going to be getting 500 tech after the completion of the Next Day Academy. We're also getting very, very fast pop growth, 55 on our homeworld here, which is just a nice touch. And yeah, as you can see, we're flying through the techs at this point, which means we have high chance to roll arc furnaces and other beneficial techs like that. So yeah, all that is very fine and dandy. And if you see any good systems too, like Cirrus here, which has an 8 mineral deposit, we can go ahead and take that too, as it helps our basic economy quite a bit. Because as you can see, our basic economy is not fantastic. Plus 58 minerals and plus 60 trade is comfortable, but it's not amazing. So yeah, improving that whenever we can is great. Also, we buy much more consumer goods than is efficient to do so, but with this build, consumer goods will be a relatively consistent problem throughout the game, even though we are anglers. Um, so it's always good to stay ahead of the curve and just keep buying quite a few, because we have enough trade to do so anyway, right? And the only other things we would probably buy more of is minerals and other basic resources like energy to keep our economy in the positive. Um, and yeah, as you can see, we're at negative 50 consumer goods now, but we're at almost 500 tech as well. So there's trade-offs. Let's make contact with the Iota aliens. They're probably just one of these enclaves. I haven't checked too much in detail, but yeah, as you can see, we're doing just fine here. And once you take the last bit of your perk, you can just leave it empty. And we're basically just going to sit on this. Alternatively, you can actually sit on these 3 traditions in Mercantile and finish Prosperity, or you can even open Statecraft and sit on 2 of those traditions as well. But I'm just going to do this as it's going to be faster to take Xeno Compatibility by opening just 2 tradition trees. So they're the kind of like main options that I prefer. Um, Anyhow, as you can see, as our capital is kind of coming up, the last thing we want to do is we want to change the district specialization over to consumer goods, and then we just want to start building city districts in order to unlock more consumer good jobs. So yeah, it's pretty it's pretty low. This build is pretty stressful on consumer goods, right? It does take a little bit to manage it, but overall it should be fine. Additionally, if you're lucky enough to find a trade focus leader or a architectural interest leader, you can go ahead and select one too, and we already hit colonial centralization, which is really nice. Um, but we don't hit a single governor with those traits, and I don't think it's worth employing a non-official. Um, so yeah, do keep that in mind as well. If you find like a architectural interest scientist or something, which is possible, I would generally say that's not worth it. You'd rather have a regular governor. Anyways, let's also go ahead and just build the mining stations here. And yeah, every other system we end up surveying which has good resources, we're just going to take it. Um, and in addition, as you can see, we have relatively healthy alloys, so you can also build up starports as they're very cheap in alloys, and you can build food and trade stations on them to increase your economy a little bit. I mean, our trade is already quite good though. Like we can even ramp this up to 45 consumer goods and maybe 60 minerals and an extra, 10 alloys. And yeah, we're going way over what is efficient to buy currently. But as we have excess trade, we might as well, as long as we're still positive. There's nothing to really worry about there. And also, anglers giving us additional trade is just like another nice bonus. As you can see, we're producing 21 trade from like 500 anglers, which is pretty good as it's almost for free. And then our civilians are, of course, producing 500 trade as well, giving us basically self-supplying a bunch of the consumer goods that they actually use themselves, which is absolutely incredible. And yeah, as you can see, we're also passing over 517 tech, basically from existing, which is just very awesome, of course. Like, and yeah, this is where kind of these builds kind of just you just chill out. I mean, the main thing we're waiting for right now is obviously hitting important techs, but it's also just waiting for our homeworld excavation. Depending on your luck, this can take anywhere from completing at year 9 if you're extremely lucky and you get a level 3 architectural 2 liter, or not architectural, archaeological 2 liter. If you're less lucky and your leader dies or something, it can take until like year 17 to complete, which is very unlucky. But I would say the average is year 12 to 13. So that means we should be able to start our ascension year 15 to 16. Which I would say is generally not too bad. It's not the fastest Ascension rush, but once again, unlike other faster Ascension rushes, this build manages to include so much tech in the early game. Compared to pure Ascension rushes, it's not a very big disadvantage. And thanks to being Clone Army, we also don't have to worry about our pops being too limited in the early game, as clones simply produce such a insane amount of pops. And as you can see, as our uh, consumer goods get low and her crime gets a little bit too high, we can just prioritize a tiny bit of educators. Um, and that will help our build a lot. Um, at the same time, I want to keep prioritizing civilians as the city districts complete. Otherwise, those jobs will go into a whole bunch of different random ones, and I'm not going to enjoy that. So, yeah, because as you can see, we're also getting an archives district here. We don't really need an archives district. Um, we'd rather have more consumer goods, but it's not worth changing this over to a consumer goods civilian industry, as if we do, we'll lose the Autocathon monument, which is our main source of unity right now. Um, so we're just going to avoid that. And I guess we'll just take terraforming. It's a relatively expensive tech, but it's also a good one to have, so um, might as well just get through that now. And also, we can even upgrade our planetary capital soon as well. We have that building as well, so that is very nice. 5 energy credits in this system is nothing to write home about, but it leads us to the next system, so we might as well take it. Also, we can continue to explore. This build doesn't particularly need to make first contact with anyone. It doesn't need the galactic market. We should buy some consumer goods before we go negative there. Let's see. Are we getting even close to positive now? Yeah, I guess the city districts are making ground in that department. So, yeah, it's a little stressful. We haven't. I don't think we hit the thing that makes us more efficient in terms of consumer goods yet, which is a little bit unlucky. But there is a tech for that. So as soon as we hit that, we'll be able to do that as well. But for now, we'll just, I guess, emergency buy when we get low and just chill. We are buying a lot of consumer goods now, but we're still positive in trade because, well, civilian economy. Really, really, really broken. just hilariously broken, to be honest. And yet, it also feels really terrible leaving an Ascension pick open for up to 10 years. Just really depending on the speed of this. And we already have a breakthrough chance, which is nice. So that's almost the first stage of our excavation done. And then after that, we have one more stage. And then we are allowed to finish our ascension. So yeah, we can just build a hydroponics farm here and 2 trade hubs, as we don't particularly need our alloys, and we get another chance for an archaeologist leader. But we're just going to go with survey speed because we don't need another archaeologist unless we get unlucky and this one dies, in which case I'll be sad. Um, yeah, if you get like unlucky leader deaths, I think it's hard to say you should have planned for it. And it really is, you were just kind of unlucky. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And this is what I mean, you get a whole bunch of random jobs every time your city districts complete. So I would recommend deprioritizing them and just leave a tiny bit of educators available to keep your crime below 30%. Otherwise, you might get a crime event on your capital, which is never a good thing. But if you don't get a crime event, you really don't need to employ any more than 30% crime. So there's also that. And we get Archaeologist 2, which is awesome. That gives us an extra hint, an extra clue per round, I think, on average. Um, yeah, skill bonus of 2, so that is very, very nice. Um, yeah, and as you can see, like the number of clues you get depends on a whole bunch of factors. The role, but the skill bonus is very, very nice. There we go. That's our first stage, and the next stage is 6, right? So you get clues a lot slower, which is basically how the game manages our excavation speed. It also is how it manages things like infiltration and like spy network growth and first contact discovery speed, right? So if you take encryption, it just like removes clues. And if you get to a high enough difficulty, the clues are on average negative or just barely positive, right? And then you then you can stay hidden for a long time, which is a very, very funny build that is occasionally brought out in a tournament game, and I love to see it. Even it's not very good, but it's just incredibly funny when you see it. So especially since a lot of games ban like first contact aggression. Not all of them do, but some of them do, and then that kind of stops you from fully taking over a guy who's pretty weak. Is just because you can't make first contact with them. And we need to prioritize our educators just a little bit more here, as yeah, we don't want to see 33% crime. So let's just manually manage that for now, as I'm too lazy to turn on automation and figure out how that works. And oh, here we get another gene course. Gene crops, I mean, and that is great. Food from farmers increased, and food from starbase, and it unlocks nutritional plentitude and a whole bunch of things. So very, very nice. And yeah, also as you can see, our housing is a little bit lacking, which does suck. Um, I mean, it's probably debatable that shelled is one of the best traits you could take with a build like this, except I don't know why I like familial. Um, or in this case, thrifty. But yeah, I'd have no idea. Shelled is probably better. Um, yeah, minus what is it like a 75% housing usage means you can really stack a lot of pops on one planet, and of course we could add that in later once we bioascend, as you get like a lot of flexibility in like which portraits can take which traits, which is just a very, very cool tech as well. Anyhow, we're not going to worry too much about that for now, and instead we're just going to focus on doing pretty basic stuff like taking mining stations and making sure our economy stays okay. As you can see, we're kind of still lacking in consumer goods, but as these city districts complete, we should finally start to move into the positive for that. And let's just check on our homeworld here. Yeah, we're making some progress, with good rolls, and sometimes we get negative clues, which is, the downside of difficulty. But yeah, it's just really important to complete this in time. I will say, archaeologist, in my opinion, is not quite as important as a high level leader. So like a level 1 leader with archaeologist is not going to be as good of a leader as a level 3 one without it. But if you have like a level 2 leader with archaeologist trait versus a level 3 leader, it's probably better. But it's just it's relatively close. So yeah, do make sure your leader level is not low. Don't use a level 1 leader, even if it's an archaeologist, for your dig site, basically, as you might get a little bit slower results. Anyhow, as you can see, we have just unlocked Arc Furnace 2, which is why I say it's relatively important to have this level of early game tech, as if we start building an Arc Furnace now, we'll actually get very close. We'll get a lot of value from it. Like, it'll cost less to build up than it'll give back by the time year 30 hit comes around. which is very different from building one like year 25, in which case it's actually a detriment to your year 30, as you're putting a good chunk of your total resources into it. So yeah, hitting Arc Furnace this early is of course fantastic. So we are going to focus quite a bit on that, and we're also just going to deprioritize every single job on our capital again, except for a token amount of educators. Um, and yeah, mostly just trying to get more pearl divers in order to get this consumer goods situation under control. But as you can see, it just continuously almost has enough, but not quite. So once we expand our council, though, that should be fixed. I guess we can just spend some unity to do it. And now with a Minister of Seas and putting our highest level governor on that, and just hiring just a random new Minister of State, and adopting favorite society, this should finally bring our consumer goods into the positive. Nice. Um, yeah, and now we're kind of more chilling. So beautiful there. Also, I do want to save alloys now for when our arc furnace situation finishes. Then we can start building an arc furnace, which, of course, it'll drain some of our energy credits, but um, if we're lucky, or even just having regular luck, we'll also get Dyson Swarm soon after, so we can build a Dyson Swarm. And also, descending on clones gives you 2,000 alloys, which will allow you to finish more arc furnace stages. That gets it to the point where it actually starts producing alloys. And when you're bioships, it also costs a good chunk of food to build an arc furnace, but food is obviously quite cheap to produce, in the sense I can just enable some anglers and produce a pretty massive amount of food from that. And this will also lower our consumer good upkeep, which is very, very nice. So if we take a look at this, we're now getting 79 food, right? We can build a food processing facility as well on our capital, although our capital is not going to be our long-term food world. And we can just also enable farming subsidy, and that will give us a very, very good chunk of food. And yeah, we can use that to start preparing for building our arc furnace. So we will need to build or buy some of the alloys we need, but we have excess trade, so that won't be a huge problem. And we can stop buying food now as well, as we're just producing it. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, at this point, we can just kind of start to take whatever text to pass them quicker. Additionally, if you want to delay some of your traditions further but have better tech rolls, you can open Discovery, and Science Division gives you one extra tech alternative, which basically affects your effective tech speed by like 25-30%, as most of the time there's a bunch of dead tech rolls and then a good one. We can just take mineral purification here as well, even though we don't really need it right now. And yeah, we can also just start our arc furnace. So there we go. Look at how cheap it is, by the way. Like, it costs like what, 300 alloys or something, 250. I didn't even see, but yeah, it has a good chunk of food cost. But like, how nice is that to be able to just spam out an arc furnace at year 11 with a non-arc furnace rush build, and producing 600 tech at the same time. And of course, now our situation finishes as well, so we can send this science ship out to just scan. Absolutely incredible. And yeah, and our tech is only going to go up from here as well, right? So as our basic economy gets better and we can support more other jobs and eventually get moats. Also, when you get this situation, just select no, we shall face reality. You'll always get it soon after you finish the dig site. And yeah, that will let you, just go ahead and start your descent process after you get a situation, which will pop up usually a year or two after you finish the dig site. It could be an exact amount of time. I just haven't really paid attention to it, to be honest. But you'll always get it relatively soon. And once we get that, basically it's super important because it clears the ancient clone vats off our capital, which currently take up a bit too much of the space, right? And you do lose a little bit of pop growth speed. Right now we're still getting 21. And after you descend, you'll go down to like 5 or 6, which is why taking Genesis guides and then taking Xeno Compatibility will bring us back up to like 12, 13, 14 kind of area for pop growth if we don't go cloning. And if we go cloning, it'll bring us to 30, 40, or even 50 pop growth. But in my opinion, I personally just prefer to try different ones out. I've tried cloning many times, and it is definitely good. So we're probably going to try mutation for this video. It's one of the branches I've tested least, but I think it's also extremely good. As you scale into the game and get habitability, um, you can get huge bonuses to pop efficiency, which is a little bit more fun than managing a virtual number of pops you get from cloning, in my opinion. So we're gonna try doing that this game. As yeah, I believe yeah, Bio Ascension it's a bit underrated in the sense that yes, it does get outshone by synthetics still, except Bio is very easy to pull off from a clone army build like this. This build doesn't take very many clicks. As you can see, I'm mostly talking. It doesn't require a year 10 government reform. It doesn't require very many of the like econ microing or that kind of thing. The econ kind of just supports itself except for consumer goods. But once again, if the consumer goods situation gets too bad, you can just disable a state academy and it significantly decreases the pop upkeep of our civilians, which is almost 300 consumer goods at this point. And you'll just lose some tech, but this build produces so much tech that you don't really lack it in a sense. You kind of have enough tech to go around. So yeah, anyhow, as you can see, our first arc furnace stage is finished. We can go ahead and send our ship to start building out the star bases. And we just need to build up some more alloys in order to start the next stage and food. So we're producing a good amount of each. We should have that pretty soon. And we're in no rush to max out the upgrades so quickly as it currently doesn't even produce that much without all the star bases built. And there we go. Once you get that pop up, you also get the situation to start your biocipher code. And simply working through that is going to give us a pretty big bonus to our economy. And as you can see, we're also lacking a little bit of energy credits now, and we can just simply buy more with our trade. Our trade buy is pretty ridiculous right now, but it kind of works, so no complaints there. Also, as you can see, our consumer goods situation is getting a little bit better as well, so that is all fine and dandy. And this Turkmen hive or whatever it was, like a Tuxan hive, establish an embassy with them. Why not? We can even eat them later if we go mutation, which is pretty cool, as we can assimilate hive pops into our regular biopops, which is a very, very cool thing to do. That was one of the only strengths of Bioascension previously, and it's still there, so I guess that's a nice touch. And yeah, as this biocipher code completes, we simply want to get ready to select clone fertility with our crossroads. And yes, this will be a year 13 dissension, and that means we'll also be able to start our biomorphosis very, very soon after this, which is very, very nice. So yeah, there we go. Let's take a look. How much more food do we need? We need like 1,000 food and like 200 alloys. Can we just buy it? Yeah, I think we can. Let's just buy it to start it immediately. And yeah, our energy credit situation will be in trouble after this is done. So let's tone down our consumer goods buy and just get ready for that and buy like a ridiculous 85 energy credits for now. And what we're going to do to sustain these energy credits is one of these worlds has to be dedicated to an energy world. Let's see, we have size 17 and a size 17 here. And we're basically just going to want to colonize them right away. Once we have enough food, that is. And I guess the first one we'll colonize shall be an energy planet, and the second one shall be a food. And yeah, I guess that works out because they're the same size. Normally, you want the bigger one to be a food planet, as scaling your food vertically is a great way to get more ships when you're using bioships. By the way, I am a complete bioship noob, so do excuse my ship designs. Right, I am more of an economy-focused player. So if you guys know how to build good ships with good ships designs, of course we're gonna start focusing on ship tech soon-ish. But yeah, don't mind the ship designs. Just pretend they're good ship designs, as this is really a economic showcase to show what is possible if you really focus hard on your economy. Pursue the endeavor, and yeah, as you can see, with the alloy injection you get from descending, it lets you very, very quickly start to build more stuff, which is very, very nice. And yeah, we'll just continue to take cheap techs and try to find the +1 civic tech. In addition, if you feel the need to, you can employ more anglers at this point. Just get a little bit higher food income so you can, build your megastructures faster or your colony ships. Um, as yeah, we have that colonized, and we're going to colonize Cirrus now as well. And yeah, basically the reason we want to wait until now to colonize is early game. It's simply not worth dividing your pops up into different planets, as your homeworld is the one which has all the state academy buildings, which actually allow your civilians to produce tech, and you don't want to rebuild them on every planet to get the same effect. So just keeping all your pops before descending on your homeworld is usually the best idea. Oh yeah, and now that we're done descending as well, I should have started this right away, but I forgot, of course, is you can finally start taking biomorphosis. So go here, biomorphosis, and I believe this mutation path is one of the strongest economy options, where cloning is extremely good if you just want to have as many pops as possible, and it's definitely strong as well. And anyhow, you do need to build a genomic research facility as soon as you can. In addition, we want to build a medical center, as this will give us a little bit of extra society tech, and give us uh, amenities and other bonuses. So it's always great to have that as well. And yeah, take a look at this economy, by the way. Pretty good, despite the fact that we're only on one planet currently, and we've been producing a really crazy amount of tech for the first 10 years of the game, unlocking arc furnaces and, pretty deep down the society tree already with a crazy number of techs completed. Um, yeah, like we already have a huge list of techs here, so that is just really awesome to see. And of course, we're very soon going to start biologically ascending too. We did waste like a year of not doing anything because I completely forgot to take biomorphosis, but better late than never. Let's get that done. Also, Starhold there is great, as that moves us towards um, mega engineering. Anything that moves you closer to mega engineering is a good thing. I wonder what year you could get mega engineering nowadays if you like did the craziest Unity rush into virtual or something, which is probably still the best build, or the psionic telepath thing. Um, and then just rush tech as hard as possible to try to get mega engineering. I wonder how fast you could do it. It's probably like year 30 now, or even earlier, to be honest. But yeah, welcome to New Stellaris, I guess. And I guess here we'll just do mature Mauler, as we need a cheap tech to pass and find the next one. And yeah, let's also take a look now if we've found any other good arc furnace systems besides our homeworld, as having just one extra good arc furnace system can be a very, very nice improvement. There's a 15 there, which is not bad. 13, 7, 6, 5. Let's gain some food, I guess. And yeah, I guess we'll just try to get to this 15, and then also send this ship to explore some of these dark systems and see if any of them have uh, any additional arc furnace systems in them, right? Because having just our capital is a little bit sad. Arc furnace wise, we usually need two to get enough alloys to sustain your stuff, and having enough minerals as well, as the minerals on arc furnaces have been severely nerfed, which is a bit of a shame, but also necessary, as I do think arc furnaces were ridiculously strong previously. Yeah, and here we can just prioritize a few genomic researchers, as genomic researchers are very good for our pop growth, which, is, as you can see, is really terrible. 2.7. That is abysmal. Um, but it'll get much better as we upgrade through the situation and that good stuff. Yeah, 2.7 is really, really tragic, though. Like, wow. Wow, that is bad. Is there a reason why it's so low? Cat girls, civilians. Like, why is the pop growth so low? Estimated pop growth, base, fertility, preacher, genome mapping. Why is the base growth 1 currently? Okay. I don't know why the base growth is 1. I feel like that's relatively low. Isn't it usually 3? I don't know what's going on there. But I guess we'll take the Xenological Lab. Another bonus, right, is if you take a look at our tech, it is slightly skewed towards society research. And as we grow, it'll become more skewed towards society research. And why that's good is because our ship techs are all locked behind society techs, which of course makes having the most society research really good in the long run, as it won't bog down your other trees, which have other good techs that you want, and ship techs normally. Like engineering is usually loaded. You need so many engineering techs, and yeah, by breaking them out into like a few different tech trees and making the society tree more important, definitely feels very good. So let's go ahead and put an exotic gas plant down. Um, that will hurt our mineral income quite a bit, but I think it's pretty worth it. And let's also change this to an urban expansion so we can place down other rare resource buildings, um, and start to unlock those too, as we will want moats at some point to get better value out of our centers of guidance as well. Um, so yeah, let's just make sure we start doing all of that. Yeah, none of these matter too much. Basically, the only situations that truly matter are the ones that determine which traditions you're actually going to get um, at the end, right? And so there's three different paths you can get. So as you can see, we already took environmental integration. So no matter which path we go, cloning, purity, or mutation, we get environmental integration already, right? It's a guaranteed part of our ascension path. But the next two are decided by the traditions we take. So we want to take traditions that give us the best bonuses possible. And in my opinion, the best route is mutation, purity, and then for me at least, I like mutation again. If you want to go for pop growth, you always want to open cloning, and then I think purity for the second tradition is still always the best, and then cloning again for the final, or what's it called, mutation for the last pick, and then you finally ascend into cloning, which will also give you more clone vats for pop growth. We're going the least pop growth route and the most pop efficiency, I believe. So, um, anyhow, ooh, do we take this? That's a really expensive tech, but it's also really good. So I think we'll go through that. And yeah, as you can see, we're also just still growing in tech. We're still growing in basic resources. Very, very impressive there. And yeah, on all their planets, basically you want to build a genomic research facility and then a medical center. This will just give you the most pop growth possible, and extra society tech, as it is our ship tech and our oh, we get that. That's gonna help our consumer goods situation a ton. Let's also just check for new arc furnace sites. 9. We got Helito though. Yeah, this is pretty unlucky. I'd say you normally get more arc furnace sites than we have gotten, but it is how it is. So if we don't get any arc furnace sites except for our capital, that is why you take Soul, um, to hedge against bad arc furnace RNG. So yeah, you do get a size 18 homeworld, which sucks, but then again, you always get the guaranteed arc furnace site, so it kind of pays off in the end. And ooh, exotic gas extraction. Don't I already have exotic gas extraction? Yeah, I guess we'll take the extra unity then. Help us finish our first tradition tree or our mutation tradition tree as soon as we get access to it. Um, Interesting. Let's just go ahead and try to get through these situations too as fast as we can. One thing we could do if we're kind of crazy and we get more energy credits later on is you can build an automation building, which is just really funny, but we don't need to do that yet. And instead, yeah, we can focus on getting this generator world up and running to support our arc furnace. As we did not happen to roll Dyson Swarm Tech, I believe, yet, so that's relatively unfortunate. We should get Dyson Swarm Tech soon, though, I'd imagine. Our overall tech 775 for year 18 is, I would imagine, still quite good for Stellaris, even with the broken tech updates. Like I believe it's still pretty good. And yeah, we can start with Clone Lab actually, not Clone Lab, Clone. Yeah, what are they called actually? Clone Vat. Oh, okay, there we go. That's the word I'm looking for. And yeah, this basically just gets the pop growth on each planet started by building those 3 buildings. I don't know which order is the best, but I usually go with the Genomic Research Center first, as I want to speed up the situation, and it only speeds it up a tiny bit, but hey, every little bit counts. Um, so there we go. You'll get auxiliary fire control, I guess. That's a nice cheap tech. Oh, and they did take that planet. Luckily, we got this system with the 2 planets here, and if we can get this size 16 Alpine, 6 planets is more than comfortable enough to play the game pretty well. But we do also need that 15 arc furnace site if we can get it. Uh, so yeah, let's move this construction ship over and just get those two systems out of the way, hopefully. And yeah, there we go. This is also so nice to have your food build your arc furnace deposit sites instead of minerals, because normally you have to spend minerals to get minerals, and it's like a bit of an uncomfortable situation. But Tangler pod, is that PD? That's cool, I guess. Yeah, it's just so weird having all the icons change from what you're used to. So yeah, I'm very not good at bioships currently, but they're still strong for sure. I think this is the second situation, so I want to focus on purity. Um, and with that done, I believe we should have slightly better pop growth now too. Yeah, we're now at 7, right? Which is not good, but an acceptable amount compared to the crazy low amount we were at before. And yeah, that is definitely very very nice. Let's just go energy states, as we are going to be building energy jobs soon-ish. An old factory on Alpha Centauri. I don't know if they've changed this situation, but used to just want to disable it. Um, I don't know why it hasn't popped up yet. Come on. There we go. And you just want to disable it, as it does no, it used to do no good at least. I'd imagine it's still the same. Also, I think it's about time we enable resettlement. So let's go ahead and go to our empire uh, government. I was clicking the wrong buttons. I don't know why. And just enable resettlement. And what you can do is you can move just a couple civilians over to fill out the genomic growth specialist, which just increases your pop growth a little bit more, especially once that clone vat is done, which boosts the base output by 1, which is actually double, right? So we should see this go to like 3 after this, which is actually some pop growth, which is nice. Let's take a look at this. And well, oh, the clone vat's not done. The month passed, but the clone vat didn't finish. And yeah, there we go. Now we're just about 3 pop growth, right? So that is what we expect, which is nice. Oh, and we also get gene tailoring. Yeah, okay, yeah, the situation usually pauses here until you get gene tailoring tech. So yeah, remember to do that. I sometimes forget. It looks like we lost most of our anglers. So what you want to do here is you just want to disable some of your civilians and let them trickle into anglers. Um, and yeah, that'll keep our food going for now. Also, after you get like some amount of exotic gases, as you can see, we're producing way more than we need. You just disable the plant, and I'd recommend leaving it there, as you might need to turn it on later. And then when you need another rare resource, like we need motes or crystals now, like we have this designer upkeep building for consumer goods, right? Is we'll build that plant, um, and we also need a motes factory, right? And as soon as we need the resource, we just disable, or we have enough of the resource, we just disable it, as it otherwise eats an incredible amount of your minerals, and it's definitely not worth it to have that many minerals be eaten for almost no reason. And we're just gonna buy a bulk load of energy credits to get ready for our lack of energy credits, as we currently have just a single measly energy planet that only makes 9 energy right now. But don't worry, this will get better. Right now, I just wanted to focus on the genomic researcher jobs to increase the pop growth speed and the pop efficiency we get on the planet. Mining station output is probably great, um, as we do have pretty good mining station output now. So yeah, there we go. And yeah, we're also just trying to kind of waiting on our biomorphosis situation, eh? So hopefully that speeds up too as we get more and more genomic research facilities online. And this planet we basically want to dedicate to agriculture, and or alloys, depending on how many arc furnaces we manage to get up in time. With this arc furnace up so early though, we'll start stacking up a good amount of alloys. Keep in mind that bioships still do cost alloys. If we take a look at our juvenile mauler, for example, it costs 63 alloys and 81 food, so you can't completely ignore alloys. But with them being so much cheaper in alloys compared to what we might be used to with regular ships, you don't need to produce like more than like 400 alloys, year 30 or 40. Like 150 is like more than enough to supply you with all the good stuff you need. So with all the ships you could want, you'll run out of naval cap first, probably. Though you will need a lot of food, so yeah. Also, we get the chemical plants here, which is very very nice. And what I want to do here probably is just not upgrade that, is replace this with the distributed design center, as job efficiency for pearl divers plus 15% is definitely very nice, and we won't have to employ as many, so we'll lose some upkeep. Uh, so yeah, we'll probably want to do that, and maybe eventually a recirculation center. But as you can see, we're kind of lacking on building slots. To be honest, we don't even have a clone vat on our capital, which is a pretty big disadvantage. But we can delete a state academy or something later. Although even later than that, we'll want to have 3 state academies to maximize the efficiency of our unemployed pops. So I wouldn't recommend it. I would just eat the pop growth penalty on the capital and use your other colonies for pop growth. And as you get more pops, your pop growth speed will go. Oh, I was not paying attention to that. Let's reload a save, as I don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with an invasion right now. I don't want to deal with it. I hate how easy it is to not notice the events like that pop up, um, because there's just too many pop-ups. So yeah, we need to establish communications with them instead. Uh, yeah, really, really easy to miss. So yeah, my bad. But yeah, like talking definitely doesn't help. I miss it less often when playing in single player. But all right, that's why we don't make these in Iron Man mode, because something like that happens and it really, really affects your gameplay. So also, in addition, is it worth colonizing these planets? We would like to coexist in peace is fine as well. Um, and you just have to pick your favors nicely so they don't turn on you later. Like never sacrifice your tech output or something like that. But when they ask for like 100 food, I mean it's 100 food. Just give it to them. Oh yeah. Anyhow, looks like this arc furnace needs stage redone. So let's go ahead and select that. And also, I think we wanted to build a recirculation center. So we're gonna have to rebuild that too, which is annoying but not a big deal. And we're working on energy generation here. And once that is done, we'll probably want to work on agriculture and aquaculture district. Very nice. Let's just select the cheap text now, as I really am rolling for the +1 civic at this point. Once again, the reason why +1 civic is important is once our biomorphosis situation is done, we need a source of extra pops, right? As by going mutation, you lose a lot of pop growth speed compared to cloning. And yeah, because we're doing that, we need to go with, what was it? I forgot the name of it. Xeno Compatibility. Xeno Compatibility is really, really strong, borderline broken. Um, yeah, a lot of, even if you're like a synthetic empire that synthetically evolves from biopops, I see that most of them prefer to run Xeno Compatibility, as you get like 20 biopop growth in addition to your like 20 assembly speed, and that's without lubrication tanks, right? With lubrication tanks, you just don't need extra pops. But lubrication tanks is going to be a probably universally banned civic, and there we go, +1 civic slot, for multiplayer lobbies that are in the know. Um, so yeah, don't expect to be able to play um, with lubrication tanks based builds in multiplayer in the future. As people get better at rushing it too, it's going to be even more broken. Like in the video attempt that I made, it was just me learning about it and willy-nilly kind of playing it. I'm sure it can be rushed infinitely faster. Like I've seen people start their synthetic situation now at like year 9 or something ridiculous like that, and that's just 3 tradition trees, like the old-fashioned way, not with synth fertility or something. I don't even think synth fertility can take lubrication tanks. Um, but yeah, like the ascension rushes are super important now. Almost every good build starts with an ascension rush, I would say. Um, Genetic purist. Genetic purist affects species genetic perfection. Okay. Sure. Sure. Aquaculture. Yeah, I'll put an aquaculture down here, as this will be our long-term food world. So we can also designate that. And this will be our long-term energy world. Don't worry about not having very many energy districts. There's a building now which can turn any planet. Yeah, here we can just turn the other cheek, as it's a temporary happiness debuff. And our pops are quite happy. So we won't lose too much stability from that. And we lose quite a bit, but whatever. Do we need extra metallurgist efficiency? Not really. We do not have a lot of metallurgists, right? Most of our alloys are coming from this arc furnace now. And we can even start our second arc furnace, but we kind of lack energy credits, but let's do it anyway. Um, Start that second arc furnace, and yeah, just make sure we start upgrading this as well to start fitting more and more technicians. Should help us quite a bit, and once again, we can just do the emergency energy bailouts for now, as we are producing a good amount of extra trade, which we can just trade into anything we need. Also, I think we can just go ahead and colonize these planets now, as even the Tomb World, because we're going to be able to get pops with 100% habitability on Tomb Worlds via Genesis arcs, which we're going to have in like 14 months. So, yeah, let's go ahead and start colonizing those. We honestly probably should have done earlier, but I just kind of forgot. Also, let's upgrade one of these state academies. Let's replace one of these with a distributed design center. And in case we start using too many minerals, right? Like, who needs this many motes and crystals? We can just disable these and re-enable them when we start running low. As yeah, they produce way too much now, so you just do got to be a little bit careful of that and not bankrupt your empire on minerals from just producing way too many rare minerals or rare resources. So anyhow, yeah, it's annoying to see a negative number there, but like once again, the microing is probably worth it, as it's like half our upkeep. So specimen study, ooh, research speed biology, that's good as well. Um, and what do we want here? We want a food processing facility, and I guess yeah, we just want to build more districts at this point on this planet. Oh no, they decided to be subterranean liaison officers instead of anglers. Oh well. That's not a huge deal. And we'll need to move some pops over to this planet too. So let's resettle just like 200 or 300 civilian cat girls over to this planet. And that will supply the energy credits we need, I think. And we're much less negative now on energy credits, so that's good. And we need to clear some blockers too. What blockers are we lacking? Max mining. No, I need to clear this one. I need ocean ecology management. Okay, well, we'll need to wait for that tech, obviously. And we do find another empire here as well. And yeah, at this point would be the point where if I was playing multiplayer, I would start to focus entirely on military-based techs that I think are useful. Given that we're not doing that, I'm just going to continue to focus on economy techs as I prefer it. It's fun. Oh, we also get an energy mogul. Is this on Nyaz? Okay, yeah, we don't really need one on Nyaz, as we won't be producing energy on Nyaz. We're just going to be running civilians on Nyaz. So, yeah, as you can see, we're getting close to 1,000 tech now. And also rushing the situation and having a decent supply of shipbuilding materials. Um, of course, you can move pops around to, say, this aquaculture planet or this generator world, like respectively, in order to maximize the number of ships you could build if that was your goal. And we do get ocean ecology management here, and we also can pop favored society for some bonus resources, which is very, very nice. And finally, what do we want to do? I think I want to go mutation, unlocks the nucleotide traits. Um, yeah, I believe that's probably the best option there. Anyhow, let's go ahead and add in Genesis guys finally. And this will also give us a new council. So we will have to reselect that, which is a bit annoying. Just remember to put a good Ministers of Season, as that's very important to your economy. The last two slots aren't too important. We're going to go Minister of Defense plus another biology slot. As you know, the more scientists on your council, the more free tech speed you get. I mean, our tech speed is not great right now, but it should be a little better than this, to be honest, with the number of scientists we have. I reckon it should need to update. And basically what we want to do now is we want to go to the decisions of all our colonies and just build a Genesis Preserve. This is a little bit expensive, costing 1,000 minerals each, but it's not too bad, as we have built up a good chunk of minerals by being cautious with them and not overproducing rare resources, right? So that's one of the reasons you want to not overproduce rare resources. Also, when you see stuff like Elder Mauler we should take it. But we get epigenetic triggers, which is even more important. So let's go ahead and take that, and that will let us uplift our pops. So we can't afford a political incident here, so we can just leave that unticked. And also we can start to build. Yeah, these are building the mining stations, right, which is what we want. And we can just start upgrading our second arc furnace as well. We're pretty unlucky to not have Dyson Swarm yet, but I mean, that's fine. We can just focus on building up our energy planet here. And here, of course, we can send whatever we can. 50 food is less than a month's worth of production, so obviously that is not too important for us. Oh, and you get pre-FDLs too, so we won't be able to invade them as xenophiles, unfortunately. But we can just watch them, you know? We can observe. And yeah, also, if we take a look at our civilians, we can start prioritizing them again, as we do want some more civilians here. And yeah, we can also just upgrade civilian fabricators and city districts for when we need that. What is this? Biomorphosis is all harmless fun. 156 limbs is a few too many limbs, but I don't want Authorian ethics attraction, so we'll embrace changes. Did I remember to build a Genesis Preserve here? Oh, number of unoccupied districts is greater than 1. Did I cancel it somehow? Let's remove this. Or did I never start it? What do you mean? Okay. Let's demolish. I really don't like the UI for these base districts, but it's okay. Let's go ahead and see if we can start it now. There we go. And let's also move the production queue to the top. This menu should be popped out by default. I don't know why you ever wouldn't want to see your build queue, to be honest. So yeah, we can just unlock this now. It doesn't matter too much. Green laser is fine as well. So awesome. All right, so once that is done, as you can see, our situation is getting close too, so we'll get a nice boost when that is done. Also, as you can see, when you finish your arc furnace, well, I guess it was a bug. Last time I finished my arc furnace, it cut the mineral production of it in half. So yeah, I guess Stellaris is just very functioning and not buggy at all, I guess, because last time I did that, I lost half my mineral output, and my economy was in a bit of a hole. But it didn't happen this time, so okay, I guess arc furnace mineral output is fine. It used to be 180, now it's 100, like in Stars 3.x versions, but obviously plus 100 for existence is still extremely powerful, so nothing to complain about there. And we can also just build this last observation post, and this is also when, if we were playing multiplayer, we would start to build ships, but we don't really need to. Studying the blob, society research. I like society research. I think I saw something die. So I should have read that carefully. I don't want anyone to die, but I also want society research. So yeah, anyways, the way you want to build bioships, the only thing I do know is you want to put a growing slot on them. So depending on how many techs you have, right, you really want the like a tier 2 growing thing, because then you get really cheap ships for their power. Oh yeah, mature weaver, that's nice. And we should be able to get elder weaver and elder mauler pretty fast with the amount of society tech we're getting. It is year 26 already, so it's not early game anymore, but our economy is still doing fine, and that's all fine and dandy as well. And also, very soon, we're going to start to get some species from our Genesis preserves, and we can start uplifting those. And uplifting those species will give us some very, very nice bonuses as well. So let's also go ahead on every planet, right? We just want to start with all the genomic research buildings and such like that, and then we can decide what to do with the planet after that. But for now, these are probably just like pop growth areas, as our pop growth does need some work. 4.0, 5, and what is this, 7 respectively, is really, really poor. But that's why we have the Genesis preserves, which will finish in like 100 months or so. So let's go ahead and speed up time a little bit now, as it's getting a little stale, and I'm running out of things to talk about. So let's go ahead and speed that up a little bit. And wow, we still need energy credits, so yeah, one of these planets should be dedicated to energy. And yeah, we can go ahead and select mutation now. and that will give us access to the mutation tradition tree. So let's also just go ahead and select some random tech here, and let's take a look at it. So this first trait gives us job efficiency per habitability over 100, which is really good scaling, as you can get plus 25% job efficiency at 200% habitability. Very amazing, and it reduces housing usage. This gives us job efficiency for medical research buildings, up to 30%. So that's like another 30% job efficiency, which is actually quite good. And then these last two picks, adaptive frames, is super nice to have. Like, I hate managing not adaptive frames pops, so yeah, we always take that. And yeah, I guess we can design a nice trait pop now. What do we want? What do we want? Can we take shelled as a mammal? I'm not sure. No, we can't. Not compatible with non-adaptive. Oh, okay, we can just get rid of non-adaptive and put on shelled, I guess. Shelled. And adaptive mutations. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That means we don't need to put any pop efficiency traits on, as that is already a pop efficiency trait. I guess we would put like something like psychological infertility on, or job efficiency for menial drones per planet size. That's not a terrible trait. Brittle. Oh, pop amenities usage. That's not a big deal. All right, let's do that. And I believe what we want to go with here is either fertile for the extra pop growth speed or genetic memory, as I believe this will be the easiest way for us to get up to 100% habitability, and once we, or 200% habitability, and once we get up there, we can change it back also later. And then we can just pick some generic thing like replaces 50% of the food upkeep with minerals or energy. Not really needed. We produce a crazy amount of food. Nomadic is nice. Quick learners is nice. Social pheromones. Let's go ahead and go with that. And once you create a species template, basically you just want to set that as your default, as you want most of your species to to be that pop, and then you set your default species rights from your original species into integrate into default subspecies. So now they'll integrate into whatever our default is set to, and we can go ahead and uplift the pre-sapiens we start to get, which will give us a nice boost in unity as well. And let's also go ahead and finish off another tradition tree here. And I believe this should give us access to... Ooh, okay, we found another empire here, to Xeno Compatibility. So if we take a look at our pop growth now with Xeno Compatibility, and we need to find the planet where that uplift is actually happening. I forget which one it is, but also let's find another scientist really quickly. We just select a random scientist, okay. And we should be getting good pop growth on that planet now too. And let's just uplift these as they come. Let's see if I can find it. Is it this planet? Yeah, here we go. As you can see, we're now at 11 pop growth, and that's why Xenocompatibility is so amazing. As those pops distribute around, as you can see, the pop growth starts to get really good for no reason. Yeah, we're over 10 on most of our planets now, which is incredible, because we didn't have to do much to get it, right? We just selected what's it called, not biomorphosis, Xenocompatibility, and instantly, we finally get Elder Mauler too, so we can start building ships for that. And sure, Bioshard Accelerator, as I just realized, we'll probably have like tier 4 laser and like tier 2 kinetic or something, which is not really the ratio you want. Clone Vat. Nope, not State Academy. Boom, Genomic Research Facility and Medical Center. And also we want to build a Genesis Preserve. And same with this planet, I believe we can build a Genesis Preserve here as well. Genesis Preserve, boom. And yeah, as you can see, this is when the economy starts flying, and we get Elder Weaver too, so we can build a fleet of Weavers and Maulers. I believe they're actually quite good, despite them being the Corvette and Destroyer equivalents. But like, once again, I am no expert, so do not use my ship designs as reference, because I'm sure they are terrible. Also, you may have noticed our consumer goods situation is not great. But also, we don't have very many jobs. We only have 1,100 pearl divers supporting our economy, and they are very efficient. So it is pretty easy to upgrade our planet now. Filling out the last few districts and converting the remaining districts we have on this planet back into consumer goods will be very, very advisable and good. And then on our specialization worlds, we can start to build some support districts, as support districts are one of the most broken um, and only ways to maintain basic economy outputs, as the basic economy of um, jobs is not amazing until you have these two support districts granting a unbelievable amount of pop efficiency. I think two support districts gives like plus 40%, which is, you know, that's dark matter engines for free, basically, right? So that's incredible. And of course, we continue to use arc furnaces to produce our alloys, and we use regular jobs to produce our food, giving us the basis for some decent amount of fleet power. Um, Basically, you just want to select the growth gland, right? Like, don't look at the ship design. These are auto designed. I don't know what's good. I don't know what's bad. We should definitely have some X-rays on here. I know that for sure. But um, let's save that. And Mauler, yep. I once again have no idea what's a good design. Combat mandibles, sure. Just make sure you have the growth gland on it. That's all I know that you really want. And then you can start building fleets. And they don't start out very strong, but once they grow up, they'll be very strong. And basically, you just want to make sure you select the juvenile ones first. Um, and where's my juvenile weaver? And let the growth gland automatically grow them into the grown up ones, which will then be very, very powerful. So, um, yeah, let's just go ahead and select kind of random text. Once again, I do not know about ship design tech. For the third civic, if you're planning to go to war, galactic force projection is great. If not, you can pick something scaling, like enigmatic engineering, to try to roll the fallen empire buildings, or tech ascendancy for tech ascendancy purposes. Or you could go vertical planets by going hydrocentric and mastery of nature. It's all up to you. Um, let's just go galactic force projection here, as our naval cap is really bad. Also, I completely forgot, but I should be maximizing the shipyards here to get a little bit more shipyard speed, as our shipyards are going to be terribly slow currently. And yeah, also just make sure to keep your planets upgrading. You should have more than enough, um, like energy credits and such too. If you run out of generator districts, right? I think we had to clear this. You can build a conductive works complex, and this will give you +2 energy districts um, per upgrade on that building, and it gets quite a few upgrades too. Also, we ran out of crystals, so let's re-enable the crystal building and see. We're about to run out of gases too, so let's enable that as well. And yeah, let's also start replacing some of these aquaculture districts with cities in order to increase our consumer goods. And once we have enough unity as well, we can replace this urban expansion with another civilian industry, giving you a pretty good bonus to your consumer goods in case that is a problem. Um, and once again, for tech, right, we're basically relying purely on unemployment. Um, so you can upgrade your civilian centers of guidance once you have the consumer goods to support it, which I would recommend as well. And as you can see, we are flying through techs now. We have a good food income. Uh, we have a good energy income as well. Um, yeah, everything is really, really nice. And you can build up a pretty good fleet too. Just do try to let it grow up. Let's go ahead and add some more maulers. Oops, I didn't mean to delete them. Let's, oops, add ship, juvenile, nope, not juvenile weaver. Oh yeah, juvenile weaver, that is what I wanted. And yeah, let's just go ahead and max that out. Once again, don't look at my battleship design, just look at the number, okay? It'll be alright. We would be a little late for year 30, but yeah, let's just add a few more. Add some juvenile weavers as well. I heard that the cruisers are not fantastic, but I cannot confirm or deny, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna make any comments about that. Also, as we get more Genesis preserves, you can just continue to uplift them. And it gives a massive boost to your Unity. Oh, those aren't done yet, I guess. Did we even build a Genesis Preserve here? Nope, not Colony Ascension. Decisions. Oh no, we did. Did we build one here? Nope, not Colony. I hate the decision button. Why is it down here? Species. Why don't we have... Oh, here we go. There's one to uplift. Let's go ahead and uplift that. Right, and as you get the species count going and you get like, 25, what is this? 22 free pop assembly uh, from that Xeno compatibility, right? That's kind of the reason. I don't personally think that cloning or purity are really needed, as you're going to struggle to build jobs fast enough to compete with that anyway, right? So instead of focusing on trying to create enough jobs for that, instead simply focus on the pop efficiency. And let's take a look at what kind of habitability we got too. I'm kind of curious. Uh, Currently, Lavis is only 100, but I'm sure our other pops are more. How do I see species? I guess our homeworld is a good way to check. 145, right? So we're getting pretty good bonuses from habitability, and that should only increase over time, right? As we did, I think I did remember to go with this thing that increases habitability over time, right? Is this our default species? Yeah, it's like genetic memory or something. We're integrating into this one, right? Where's genetic memory? Yeah, genetic memory. So we should gradually go towards 200% habitability, which will give us some pretty huge bonuses. We're getting close to 2K tech as well. And like the only thing stopping us is consumer goods. So we do need to worry about that a little bit. And I think it's time. We probably don't need this Autocathon monument anymore. Let's go ahead and switch this over to a civilian industry, right? And that is going to do a pretty big hit to our minerals. So we could probably turn one of these worlds into a mineral world. Do keep in mind also your pops no longer need to have... Ooh, the hive mind wants to kill us. We'll probably die because we're not ready. Actually, we have 6K. What? We can just go kill them. Have any of these grown up yet? I'm really curious. How long do these take to grow up? Where's my 6K fleet? Why can't I select that one? No, here it is. Juvenile Weaver, Juvenile Weaver, Juvenile Mauler, Juvenile Mauler, Mature Mauler. Okay, yes, some of them are growing up. Nice, nice. That is funny. Um, but yeah, this hive mind will not be able to kill us. Pathetic tech. This is Grand Admiral no scaling, by the way. They have apparently overwhelming fleet, but I don't see it. I have 7K bioships right here, and increasing rapidly, to be honest. So I don't know what's going on with that. Oh, we ran out of consumer goods. Yeah, if this happens, pretty simple solution. Just come and disable one or more of these centers of guidance, and that should fix your consumer goods situation. Oh yeah, they took an arc furnace, so now I'm negative on minerals, which is funny. But yeah, we can get one mineral planet going as well, as that will help us quite a bit in the future, I think. Also, can't I counterclaim these guys? Like, claim... I don't know why they declared war on us. They are not stronger than us anymore. So if we claim all of that, and I guess we need to build some armies. What do armies cost with... Oh, they cost food. That is amazing. And of course, we have access to clone armies, so we can build them quite quickly. So let's quickly build up some clone armies and get ready to take the enemy hive here. And we should be able to assimilate them too, which is fun. Let me see how to do that. Species, set default rights. I think we can set this to... No, we can't set that to assimilation. Only organic hive-minded species can be de-assimilated. Oh, okay. Oh, I see why. They do have considerably good fleets. Okay. Let's... Well, let's turn on edicts. I don't know what weapons I have, so we just turn on everything. And I also heard, and I'm not sure if this is true, but I've heard that bioships are undercounted in fleet power, in the sense that their fleet power is higher than they appear in terms of real combat strength. I am not sure if that is true, but it does look like it because we won quite convincingly, despite me knowing absolutely nothing about bioship design. So that's actually quite promising, to be honest. And we did lose quite a few ships, but we're also not on the best war policy, I believe. Um, yeah, I hate how this menu gets so big, as it gets really hard to find the thing you're looking for. I'm looking for combat stance, right? And I cannot find it. But I want to be on hit and run. But yeah, just yeah, if you guys see it, well, it should be on hit and run. But anyhow, we should be able to just fly in and start taking their stuff now. As they did lose a good chunk of those ships too. Yeah, they lost 76 ships. How many did we lose? We lost 10. So very very nice. We probably didn't even have a good leader on that fleet, and it still went fine, right? So very very nice. Yeah, we didn't even have a good leader on them, and that's a general too. Like that's a general class leader. Um, and where is our armies? 500. Let's start moving those over. Oh, we got another fleet of 3K, so let's fly that over as well. And yeah, like ooh, we flew into another bunch of ships. We don't have edicts on. I'm a bit too lazy to turn them on. Let's see how this goes. I'm kind of curious. This is like an even number fight, right? Like 5K to 5K. Oh shoot, this is like a system that probably removes shielding or something, right? Like, okay, so 5K to 5K. They did have a star base too. That kind of skewed it a little bit. Ooh, acute moats deficit. Uh, oops. Well, we had to reclaim. That's not the best. And are we winning? No, we're not winning. No. Yeah. Once again, do not look at this guide for build advice. For ships. It is not a good ship design, I guess. Oh well. Yeah, I guess we're not giving our ships enough time to grow up. Also, though some of them are like these are like all juvenile, for example. So I wonder how strong they would get if they actually grew up. Uh, Luckily, they will not get a chance. Unluckily, they will not get a chance. Probably unless they get these kills. So let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens. We really really need more minerals. So let's go ahead and specialize this as a mining world and yeah, build a couple mining districts and see if we can slowly get some more minerals. I guess one thing we can do is just buy a few more for now. Um, Yo, I'm gonna finish this arc furnace too. That should be pretty nice. Um, yeah, I guess we lost all our consumer goods to to this planet here being converted over. Let's see if we can disable any of these buildings. Let's enable this and let's disable this in the crystals, and that should save us some minerals as well. We're producing a bit too much energy now, right? So if we're microing that, we could definitely do a better job there. Um, and yeah, also, right, we should remember to put a leader on. Doesn't really matter what kind. And yeah, just remember to reinforce these fleets. Like once again, I have no idea the actual bioship meta for the ships themselves, but in terms of like amount of ships, this build can definitely produce a pretty good amount of them, um, with pretty good tech as well. Of course, there's tons of room for optimization. Good players will have a lot more than me, but I just kind of wanted to show off one of the builds here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.